I wanted to talk to you about diseases too. I've heard you speak on many occasions, and we've talked about your philosophy on diseases. But I think your previous statements about your condition in New Orleans and meeting people addresses already what I was going to ask you. I was going to read to you the top 10 diseases that kill African Americans, or the top 10 causes of death among African Americans. And I think what you just said to me the last few minutes will touch on all of those, because I know your philosophy, but I think it addresses them. Now, all of these things I'm about to read to you aren't necessarily diseases, but African Americans die from them. And I want to get your statements, opinions on that. The conditions that kill African Americans, the top 10: heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, homicide, accidents, pneumonia and influenza, respiratory diseases, HIV/AIDS, and the pre- and postnatal death of babies. Now, those are the top 10 common causes of death among African Americans. And the two things, homicides and accidents, are not diseases, but they're in the top 10. And I think you address it in terms of us being mentally unstable from the conditions that we've lived in for many, many years in a place that's not our native place. So I want you to touch on that a little bit more, if you could, and then getting back to what you talked about in terms of dealing with the pH and your whole philosophy on pH.
Philosophy. I never had one of them.
Okay.
I don't even believe in anything
Okay.
or anyone. I never live in a world of belief or in the world of philosophy. I just live. This is simple. About homicide not being a disease, well, let me tell you something. You're talking to someone that would have committed a homicide if he had not found help. So it must be a disease. I know what you're saying, and how you said it has much merit, but it is only because you and I are recipients of Europe. You and I, if it isn't Europe, it is Arabia. But you and I are not Arabs or European. We came out of the jungles. So homicide is a direct result of your physical condition. Homicide. Look at insanity. When your hormones are out of balance and your central nerve system has been compromised to an extent that you turn against yourself and you commit suicide, you're talking about homicide. That's not even scratching the surface. What about when you turn against yourself and you kill yourself? You see? It is a disease. It's occurring in the brain. There's a deficiency of iron. I want to impress this on you, on the public, on all of us, including myself, because I just, as much as I've been doing this thing for 38 years, I just realized something, that I too used to be, well, I wear clothes, a victim of this conditioning. I'm wearing clothes, right? It's not natural. You're not breathing. You breathe when you take your clothes off. And I saw examples of that in Mexico with Josefa. When they brought her the crazy man, the first thing she did was walk up to the crazy man and take his clothes off, and the man sat back down. I said, what was that? We believe that we breathe through our nose only. No, you breathe through your pores. Your pores is the biggest mouth that you have. It receives oxygen. But now I'm covered up from hair to hair. I'm breathing, and from hair to hair, and from hair to hair. But the 90% is covered up.